Have you guys watched The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo? Because I need to scream into the void a little bit about it. Hi, I'm Bailey, and if you're watching this, you're probably my friend that I sent it to, and if you're not somebody that I know in real life, thank you so much for watching. Even if you hate watching, views are views, and you're my friend now too. So, when I was on the hunt for a Barbie movie, I found a box set of 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo and The Curse of the 13th Ghost. And I have been desperate to watch this movie for a while because back when we had Boomerang, rest in peace, 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo was on it, and I was Googling about it. It came in 1985, and you can tell. And that the funny part, there's 13 episodes. But in the first one, they released the ghosts, and they only catch 12. So in 2019, they made a movie where they catch the 13th ghost, and that movie wasn't streaming anywhere. So when I saw it on DVD, I bought it, and then made plans with my brother, who's also a big Scooby fan, to watch the show during the week, and then he would come over and we would watch the movie together. And this show is, frankly, a little insane, but I enjoyed it. And I want to scream into the void about it now because I can't hold all of this inside. So, the original series aired in 1985, and it commits a lot of bizarre sins. So, the first of which is Daphne's hair. And I think I figured out what they were going for, but it's still not great. And then, there's no Fred. There's no Velma. I don't know where they are. It's Daphne, Shaggy, Scooby, Scrappy, and this random kid they picked up named Flim Flam, who I assumed was an orphan, but I don't know if they actually confirm that he is. And I realized that Flim Flam is operating in Fred's role, and he mostly interacts with Scrappy. And then Scooby is Scooby, which leaves, Shaggy and Daphne. Shaggy is the normal Shaggy, and Daphne is, at her funniest, which leads us to the next bizarre sin of 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which is that it kind of makes you ship Shaggy and Daphne. Nobody ships Shaggy and Daphne. The acceptable ships in the show are Daphne and Fred, Daphne and Velma, and you know what? I'm a truther, Shaggy and Fred. We all know about that Valentine's Day episode where, to avoid implying that Fred and Daphne were doing anything at all, they said that the girls lived together and the boys lived together, but it just resulted in things looking gay. Shaggy and Daphne live in a house together with their 2 dogs and random child. And there's an episode where Shaggy, Scooby, Flim Flam, and Scrappy are all up late at night watching horror movies on TV, and Daphne comes downstairs in her bathroom and is like, "Why aren't you guys in bed?" The only bedroom that we see the inside of for the main characters is Scooby's. There is an episode where we see Vincent Van Ghoul in their guest room. Oh yeah, Vincent Van Ghoul is another character, and he mostly just sends them on adventures and is backup and just ups the spooky gothic feel. He's fine. He does a good job with the intro. "This is a warning to all living mortals that whosoever opens this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth." And then Scooby opens it. We have the music. "Let's get 'em, Bogle! I'm with you, weird! Whoa! Only you can return the demons to the chest." "Why us?" "Because you let them out." And we're gonna do music. The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Another sin that 13 Ghosts commits is that this is in the red shirt Shaggy era. The Mystery Machine is red, and Daphne drives. I don't mind that Daphne is the driver, but I don't know why it's red, and I don't know why Shaggy's shirt is red. I don't think Scrappy's presence is automatically a sin. He does have his moments. I think he can be funny. I think that right now, hot take, people hate Scrappy because they were told to by James Gunn in the live action one. And then it was just kind of a joke to be like, oh, we hate Scrappy. Let's pretend he never existed. I don't always hate him. He has his annoying moments for sure. But I think every Scooby character does. And maybe it's time for a reboot to redeem Scrappy Dappy. So in the first episode, the gang is flying to, they think Honolulu, but actually the Himalayas, and then they crash land, and they end up in a weird, where everybody's a werewolf, and Flim Flam is there, but he's not a werewolf, and then they go to this temple because their plane got dragged there, and we meet the first ghosts, who are not from the 13 ghosts, and they trick Shaggy and Scooby into opening the chest of demons, so now it's their job to bring the ghosts back. And I thought the best way to review the show would be to rank the ghosts. So we'll start with like asterisk. They're not really in the running. Bogle and Weird. They don't have to catch them. They're just like the minor bumbling villain obstacle. I do think I would enjoy working a minimum wage job with these two. But nothing if I had actually anything major going on. Okay. In last place, Ronald Reagan. I'm not shitting you. He's in an episode. I hate that man so much. I think he deserves the depiction he got. If I was Ronald Reagan and Scooby-Doo drew me looking like that, I'd be offended. So, it's what he deserved. Okay, next I have Maldor the Malevolent. I watched this episode 4 times in 1 week, and really, I can't remember anything about him other than that time he turned Scooby-Doo into a... I liked that the princess in that episode was a Great Dane like Scooby. I feel like we don't see Scooby-Doo interacting with enough dogs that look like Scooby-Doo and can talk like him, and every time he has a girlfriend, especially in Mystery Incorporated, I'm uncomfortable. Next I have Rancor. He is trying to join the Spook and Poltergeist Society, SAPS, and old Scooby-Doo cannot hold back from being racist. There's like a Chinese takeout delivery guy. He gets possessed by a vampire, and suddenly he has a racist accent. But Rancor turns Vincent Van Ghoul into stone. Bogle and Weird are mad that they're not getting accepted into SAPS, so they help Scooby and company, but plan to double cross. The Mystery Machine gets towed, and apparently Shaggy's plane keys are in it. So I kind of assumed that the Mystery Machine turned into the airplane. I don't know why. That's pretty normal in Scooby-Doo. But it's actually 2 separate things. But the detectives do more than Bogle and Weird do to catch Rancor, so not going to score very high. We have Mr. Phantasmo. He makes a fake circus and uses it to lure Scooby-Doo in when he was visiting his family and hypnotizes them with circus music. I had a hard time paying attention to this episode too. His punishment at the end, once they catch on to his scheme, he just turns old before they put him in the box. Flim Flam keeps his magic whip. I think that makes him evil now. Then we have the Cyclone Demon. He looks cool, but doesn't really do a ton. He just kind of runs around destroying things. They're on like a ghost ship. He's easily caught by Scooby-Doo because Scooby was hypnotized to not be afraid of ghosts anymore. This episode has a bit where that while they're on the boat, Scooby goes into a movie theater to watch The Titanic. And I was just like, okay, yeah, cool. I love that movie. Except that movie hadn't come out yet. They made this joke on their own, not referencing Kate Winslet or Leonardo DiCaprio, which I'll give you more credit for that one. But that also feels like being on an airplane and watching a movie about airplanes crashing. Like to be on a boat and watch a movie about a boat that sank. Next we have... Okay, this is Shadow Demon / Morbidity. This chest gets stolen while they're in a mine. I think the Shadow Demon is fine. They sing a song, Me and My Shadow Demon, and Shaggy takes the high notes, and it's crazy. And my shadow demon. And then we see some of Daphne and Shaggy being in sync. When Daphne says "positively" and Shaggy says "absolutely." Then we find out that the Shadow Demon is actually the shadow of this maze that they're in's designer, and he owns the house that they're trying to find the chest in, because Morbidia is actually the demon of this episode, and she's hot. This one was a bait and switch. You thought the Shadow Demon was the bad guy. It's not. It's Morbidia. She brought demons into the house and imprisoned the designer. They're trying to buy time until the sun goes up sun comes up. So they sing a sing along with a bouncing ball along the bottom. The sun comes up and she dies, I think, like does the dramatic thing, and then it's just a cloak, and then Flim Flam sweeps her into the chest. Next I have Marcella. These all have like names, or not real names, just kind of describe what they do. And then there's Marcella. Vincent has like a crystal ball that he uses to communicate and like monitor demons, and he's getting videos of 3 witches, and Shaggy says, I don't like this, let's watch cartoons. And they watch Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? What does it mean? But she has 3 witches do her bidding, but she's trapped, so she's having them cast her 13th spell to free her. This one has a lot of disguises. This is where you really see Daphne and Shaggy matching each other's freak. The bizarre sin of making you ship them, they match each other's freak consistently. So they live together, they do match, like, coordinating disguises. It's weird. It's weird. Like, if you don't believe me, watch it. I mean, there's nobody else to ship either of them with, but don't make me ship them. It's weird. So there's a lot of disguises in this one. Unfortunately, racist disguises. And I think that the 3 witches are very annoying. Okay, next I have Demondo. He's ugly. He used spectral ink to make cartoon monsters in the newspaper come alive, and then takes cosmic ink out of the same container. We don't care about content, to put himself into a newspaper and have himself be delivered to Scooby-Doo. And at this point, Vincent Van Ghoul is living with the gang, and he's being super annoying. And Scooby begs like a dog to be able to read the comics. And, you know, I like when Scooby-Doo acts like a dog, except they only ever make it do it when he's scared or sad. And I hate that. He's a baby. Stop it. So they get sucked into the comic. Platypus Duck is there, I guess. It reminds me of that episode of Fairly Odd Parents where they jump around to different like cartoon styles. Demondo accidentally tells them how to get out, so then they fight for the pen. They put him in the chest. Bogle and Weird break into their house, and Vincent is not wearing his glasses that he never wears and doesn't realize that Bogle and Weird are impersonating Shaggy, Daphne, and others. He's just a jerk. Next, and I know that my brother's going to disagree with me on this, I have Zimbulu. He was hot when he was in disguise as a hot chick, and then he turns into a lion demon, which I have been told he's hot. I'm not into. They go on a late night TV show, and the chest is stolen. Vincent Van Ghoul says he went to school. He was in the class of 39. Just 39. They have to chase Bogle and Weird around to get the chest back. I thought this episode was pretty boring. Apparently there's a book about the chest of demons. If someone opens the chest on the winter solstice, they get all of the powers of all the demons, and guess what? That day is today. Usually if there's something that happens by this date, it's this day that the episode is taking. He opens the chest, Zimbulu, but they said only the living could open the chest, but now a ghost is opening it. This show does not care about continuity. But Flim Flam has his vacuum from the ghost vacuum from the mirror ghost, who we'll get to, episode. It would have been convenient to just use that in every episode since you got it, but I think we forgot we got it. Also, the Scooby Wiki has the episodes in a different order from what they were on HBO Max. So I just watched them in the order that they were on stream. I thought this episode was boring. I really did. It was the last episode, so kind of a weird note to end on. Next, I have the Reflector Spectre. This is the mirror ghost. He's trapped in a mirror and he can suck people in, which is cool. But also, this is a racist episode, which is not cool. They need an amulet, and it has a spell on it, and it gets them out. I like that the mirror world is surrealist. Next, I have Time Slime. Ugly. He was polite enough for him to wait for Scooby to catch other ghosts before he does his plan. I wonder if the ghosts can talk to each other to coordinate when they're gonna make their move, because like Demondo runs a newspaper and he's just been doing that in the meantime. If this was Lilo and Stitch, where they like get a job to be productive members of society, he would just run the newspaper instead of being trapped in the chest of demons. Also, why does the chest of demons hold ghosts? It's never explained. They don't care about continuity. They really don't. Time Slime is going to speed up time until they get to the day where he can conquer the world, which I don't know why he waited to do that. Again, so the time just keeps getting sped up, and for whatever reason, nobody is aging. Like, the sun is rising and setting, and they're not getting any older. Scooby falls through time, and which it just freaks him out, and decides to quit ghost hunting because we see other ghosts. This is the only time that we are referencing other ghosts. The gang replaces him with a lazy dog, who I think kind of looks like Clifford the Big Red Dog. His name is Bernie Gumshoe. And then Scooby moves back in with his parents. And then kids on watch 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo with Bernie Gumshoe, which, what does this mean? Is 13 Ghosts real, or is it a show? Because, like, in this one, they're saying ghosts are real. I know other Scooby-Doos, I think this might be the first one at that point in time to say ghosts are real, and we're going to fight real ones. But if we see Children of America watching it, is this real? Time Slime can open the chest too. So is he living? Is he an alien? I don't know. We see like alternate reality. This episode is It's a Wonderful Life, but Scooby-Doo. And in the bad timeline where Scooby stays quit. Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to go with stays quit. Shaggy is crazy. Flim Flam and Scrappy are in a motorcycle gang and really look up to Time Slime. And Daphne is old and fat. I mean, he did enslave her, but the one that they're really like, wow, this sucks for Daphne is she's not hot anymore. So then, Scooby decides he's not going to quit anymore. He comes back and we get to the good timeline. This is the episode with Ronald Reagan. He does a national address to beg Scooby to come back. Least favorite ghost. Okay, next we have Zomba. I really like this episode. She sucks them into the TV and makes them live out a horror movie. That's just fun. Good ghost. I like it. Next, Nakara. Nakara's in first place because she's hot. She can suck magic out of people, but only on Friday the 13th. So she's at a fancy restaurant for warlocks and targets Vincent Van Ghoul. She kisses men to take their power. She threatens to call the Ghoulish Review Board about Bogle and Weird. I don't know what that means, but they do get upset. She hypnotizes Vincent Van Ghoul and convinces him to propose, and then the gang is trying to stall it, and she summons an entire cemetery of ghosts to kidnap him, which that's more power than we've seen from most of these other ghosts. Like, aside from Time, they kiss after midnight, so her spell doesn't work on him, and he undoes all of her spells. And they put her in a box with a couple of other ghosts. Something about the show. I would like to just have a quick chat with Flim Flam's voice actor, because most of his line deliveries are insane. He's a weird addition to the show. He really is. But I guess he's a child. I don't hate Flim Flam. I don't love him either. He's a little con artist selling snake oil and wearing a weird sweatshirt where it looks like the hood is in front. So, some things about this show. The chest of demons changes size all the time. Sometimes it is so big 2 people have to carry it, and sometimes Flim Flam can put it in his pocket. So we get to the end of the TV one, that's the last episode, and there's no resolution. They just start a different Scooby-Doo show, and what happened to Flim Flam? Where did he go? Does he have parents? I don't know. And I'm pretty sure the only other show to reference Flim Flam was Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, where they said that he's in jail. Okay. Put him in jail, it's fine. So then I had a little movie night to watch the movie Curse of the 13th Ghost, and it was disappointing. I was looking forward to it, and I didn't like it. So we start with a flashback to young Vincent Van Ghoul, and he's kind of hot. He's trying to capture a big ghost, and then his friend Mortifer sacrifices himself to the demons to save the chest. They don't do the old intros because you let them out, but they do recap the monsters that they've caught. But we just see silhouettes of the gang, and there's no Scrappy. Why are we erasing Scrappy? He was there. I understand people don't like Scrappy anymore, but he was there. We can't pretend he wasn't. I swear to God, when they open, they're at the mall from that episode of What's New Scooby-Doo with the toys that go crazy. Or they're like robots or something, but the evil toys. I do like they get in trouble for catching this guy. They thought this farmer was the guy running the scheme, but it was somebody else, the land developer. And they're lucky that they're not 18, because if they were, he could press charges for harassment, and that they could also be charged with criminal negligence, and are told they have to quit solving mysteries. Put Scooby-Doo on a leash, which they don't enforce. They don't do that. So they sell all of their shit, including the mystery machine. And Velma talks about how great it is that they have no unfinished business. And at that moment, the crystal ball from Vincent Van Gogh starts ringing. And Fred and Velma have no idea what's going on and say that they were at camp that summer. That's, I guess, one way to write them off. So they get ready to go. Daphne still has her old outfits, and they reference her bad haircut. And then she has a cool haircut. They say that they didn't tell Fred or Velma about it because of Scooby-Doo's mental breakdown after time slime. They still have the van, the red van, but nobody knew that they had it. Also, I think all of them live together, but they're not 18. No one cares about continuity. Velma's obnoxiously skeptical, but reads the book about the chest of demons. They fight a demon car, and then there's this weird duck that for some reason appears in every episode of 13 Ghosts. I don't know if it's a reference to something else or if the duck has a name, but we do get to see the duck in this movie, which, bless up. Maybe I like the duck. I don't. I like the new duck. The crystal ball has new powers now. It glows when it's closer to the other one. They wander around Vincent Van Gogh's castle, and they do eventually find him. And then the demon shows up and demands that they bring him the chest of demons. And nobody knows who has it. Shaggy says he mailed it to Vincent Van Gogh's house in the Himalayas, but I guess that was in Air Boo and Boo, which definitely existed in 1985. Then we get unnecessary lore about the chest of demons, that I guess it was from Solomon's tomb. But they take Vincent Van Gogh's plane to the Himalayas, and Scooby plays a flight attendant, and it's uncomfortable. But I do like the goth plane. And then when they get to the Himalayas, we're all going to wear coats now. And they put a little sweater on Scooby, and I'm a big fan. As someone who puts sweaters on my dogs, it's a good dog sweater. The car followed them. So then they split up. Fred and Velma go to the post office to try to pick up the package because apparently it was never delivered. And they meet Flim Flam, but don't know that's Flim Flam. And he takes them to what turns out to just be like a gift shop themed after the chest of demons, and also monster hunting weapons. And then Fred and Velma get abducted by ghosts. Also, she loses her glasses. Shaggy, Scooby, and Daphne survive a lot of avalanches to get to the temple. Vincent Van Gogh won't do magic. They realize that they're not alone in the temple because there's a lit camp. Shaggy finds a chest of demons, and they have to sneak around the demon. Oh, the demon is named Asmodeus or Asmodeus, depending on who's saying it. Shaggy finds it. They have to sneak around Asmodeus to keep it, and we get a weird thriller knock. And then it's racist. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo dress up as monks and make Asmodeus meditate to take the chest. And then we see that he's the rolling pin ghost from the intro. I like. That was a cool reference. The only reference that's actually enjoyable. They get out, but Vincent doesn't. They make a crystal ball call, and he tells them to leave. Everybody gets reunited, and Velma's having a crisis. Fred tries to cheer everyone up. He makes Shaggy a snowbird. Get you a man. Now Daphne's saying, maybe I'm not fit for leadership. Girl, boo. Yes, you are. Fred reveals that the summer camp he went to was cheer camp, so his new role is to be everybody's cheerleader. They split up again. Flim Flam is eating demon cookies, and you can really taste the demon because they're spicy. They pass a yak with a fuck-ass bob. And then Fred and Velma bring Flim Flam along because they want to use all the ghost hunting stuff, and he knows how to use it. He uses the snake oil makes an appearance. Okay, maybe I like that reference. So then the rest of them they fly in. Vincent and Asmodeus are doing this long just talk confrontation that just goes on for way too long. And I, at this point, am wondering, how do you differentiate when you open the chest if it's to put a demon in or to let demons out? Is there like a button on the back you have to switch? Everybody gets back together, and Flim Flam has his ghost vacuum. Thank God. That is the most useful tool they have. Flim Flam is super happy to see Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby. He comments on Daphne's hair, and And references that Shaggy, he says, I haven't seen you in anything other than a red t-shirt. I am kind of wondering why we didn't put Shaggy in a red t-shirt for this one. He asks about Scrappy, and Velma doesn't know Scrappy, which is wrong because I think it's the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries. It's the one with the Christmas episode. The episode before Nutcracker Scoop, Velma is there and meets Scrappy. She's not in the Christmas episode, Fred is, but Velma has met Scrappy. 13 Ghosts doesn't care about continuity. I mean, if we're honest, Scooby-Doo doesn't care about continuity. They never have, and I think they never should. We do not need like a multiverse where all of it's real, or DuckTales where all of it has happened to them. It's Scooby-Doo. Who cares? Apparently, Vincent Van Gogh's ancestor was the first demon trapped in the box, and he turned into Asmodeus while he was trapped in it. But then Asmodeus opens the chest, which means he's not a demon, because remember, only the living can open it, except that in the past we've seen Time Slime and the lion guy, I don't remember his name, open it. Actually, it was Vincent's friend Mortifer. He's not dead. And then there's this guy that's been following them around, and turns out he is from Interpol. And the chest that they had opened because it's not actually the chest of demons. It's a cooler that looks like one. Somehow the car ghost thing was Mortifer's. So then he starts an avalanche by revving his engine too much, and the bridge that he's on collapses in it, and he falls. And then we see the ghost of Victor's ancestor, and they say that in the book, revenge is a similar word to redemption, and it was mistranslated, and actually he just needed redemption to be freed. So by saving Vincent, he has redeemed himself. So did he just kill Mortifer? For a while you fully believe he killed Mortifer, but no, Mortifer is climbing out of the room. Then Interpol arrests him. Turns out the chest of demons was just in Shaggy's luggage the whole time. Fred at least apologizes to Daphne for being kind of a jerk about letting her lead. Is it because she's a woman or because she's Daphne? I don't know. Sometimes Fred is really sexist. Sometimes he's fine. Sometimes he's a huge jerk. Depends on which Scooby you're watching. They ask Flim Flam if he wants to come with them, and he says he wants to. What is Flim Flam's real name? And then they decide not to retire, but they were just threatened with jail time. I think that we should maybe go to detective school, you guys. So I don't know what I was expecting for the 13th ghost, but it was a little bit disappointing. And I think it was because they were oh, it was a man in a suit. Just keep going with ghosts are real. And then Velma goes on this whole thing. Yeah, I'm back to not believing in ghosts. I'm the skeptic. I mean, that's cool, I guess. I felt disappointed at the end, and I think it's because they said ghosts. The ghost wasn't real. Just make it real. After having such an insane TV show, for the follow-up to just be ghosts aren't real. I am wondering how Flim Flam aged so much, but the Scooby Gang didn't. That they're only almost 18 now, so what age were they supposed to be in the original one? I think that they should have just set this movie in the 90s, just so it's just a couple years later. I don't think Scooby-Doo always has to be taking place in the right now. I think we can do a period piece. I think it's okay. So let's do some final thoughts. I think that 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is a fever dream, and there's more than 13 ghosts in the box. There's a lot of talk from the other ghosts about letting ghosts out, so there has to be more than just 13 ghosts in there. I mean, I'd say watch it. It is a silly romp, and I am just a Scooby lover, and I'm glad I got to hang out with my brother. I don't know. I just feel let down by the 13th ghost. Maybe I'll watch it again now that I know what to expect. I do think it's funny that this movie came out in 2019, more than 30 years after the show ended. That's fun. But yeah, it's a weird show, and you should watch it. And I think it's fine if you don't watch the movie that concludes it, because it doesn't all the way conclude it. So if you've made it to the end of this rambling video, hopefully I edited it to make a little bit more sense. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear from you what your favorite version of Scooby Doo is. Personally, mine is What's New because that was like the movies were still coming out when I was young. I think, well, we didn't have cable, so I mostly just watched what I could, mostly the What's New Scooby Doo era movies. So that's my Scooby. I'd love to hear your Scooby. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.